Hello, everyone. How is everybody doing? And I'm excited to have Bijou here. She is the best, because me and her jammed at a long lost friend of mine, a mentor of mine, and we just fell in love with each other. Well, I fell in love with her. I don't know if she loves me. I want to welcome her to the Belief Breakthrough podcast because she has an epic story. This story is all about transferring one thought process to the next and really pushing through some hard times. And as you know, I like taking apart those beliefs on what makes a person successful and make them go uh, uh, into an even better place, a better person, a better thought process. So this is Bijou. Bijou, please give everybody a nice intro for who you are.
Oh, thank you, Patrick. And I would agree. I fell in love with you too. I just think that our energies connected and we just like couldn't be separated. So thank you for having me on your podcast. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to be here. Um, so my name is Bijal Patel. I own a company called Launch. We've been in business about 3.5 years at this point in time. We are an online branding agency and consultancy. So we help online businesses scale to their next level. We're the absolute best category of one in what we do. And we help really impact driven entrepreneurs get in touch with their exact vision, identity, their beliefs, similar to you. And then we take that, we package it up in a way using both brand strategy and visual identity related to brand, which is like the logos, the colors, the taglines, the words, so that they can grow to their next level. So that is what we do. And I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So the very first question I like to ask people when they come in, it's all about what makes a person successful. Now, the fun part of this is everybody has their own definition of success. It could be the impact that we make. It could be money. It could be materials, all these different things. So what is your definition of success?
I like this question. My definition of success is, did you get to your next level in terms of your identity? And so for me, everything monetary success, health success, financial wealth success, relationship success, the predecessor to that success happening and showing up, the predecessor to you losing 50 pounds, the predecessor to you making 100K, the predecessor to you getting closer and closer to your spouse starts with an identity shift. So did you make the correct and the right identity shift that you needed within yourself? I would consider that to be success. I was just talking about this on my group coaching call that somebody was like, I just made this change and now I really believe in myself in this other way. And now it's how I'm going to show up. And she's being a little sheepish about her win. And I was like, girl, that's it. That's better than any financial win I've ever heard. Like that's the best kind of win. So that's my definition.
It's definitely an internal thing that we all have to go through, and that's why it's so important for us to understand where we came from as childhood and the things that we go through, because that gave us our identities. And as we're an adult, we no longer fit into the old shell that we gave us. So we have to learn how to break out, which makes me ask the next question: what makes you successful? Since you have your definition, what makes you successful? What was your old identity? And who is this new identity that you just
Oh Lord.
about?
Okay. I got this one down pat. My old identity was being a good little worker bee in corporate America. Like I was the worker bee. You gave me something to do. I would run it up and down the court, full court press, and I would get it done. I was reliable. I was amazing in terms of my delivery. I took the team along with me. I was like the perfect corporate employee until I wasn't.
What happened when you wasn't?
Until I wasn't, until I
Well,
had my
what
second.
happened? What was the experience
Well,
there?
I had my second child, and then they decided that all the time I was spending away from work, being a good mom rather than the good little worker bee, they weren't used to that. So I got fired. And after that, that's when I transitioned into queen bee. So queen bee no longer values just hard work and working pointlessly and aimlessly just to get to the next level. Queen bee believes in the fact that within each person, there's an empowered state and you just have to get to the next level. So if you imagine it like a staircase, I literally imagine that you have to take each little individual step up until about step 12 is about when you hit a landing. That's when you can stop, acclimate, optimize a little bit, but then you still have your next level to go up. So that's how I view it. So to answer that, it is going from that status of little worker bee, good little worker bee, to queen bee. And the way I define myself for being successful, I will look at myself in the mirror harder than 99% of the population will look. I'm willing to look at myself. I'm willing to look at the nooks and crannies. I'm willing to ask the hard questions. For example, when we're in mastermind groups, I am willing to ask the hard questions because I want to be carved out. I want to be given the hard feedback. I want someone to challenge me. I want someone to show me the things that I'm not really able to see on my own. And it is because of that ability to show up completely vulnerably and say, give it to me, and take the hit on the chin and come back stronger. That is the only reason I consider myself successful. It's not the custom house.
Good.
It's not the wealth. It's not the Rolly. It's not any of that shit. That is why I consider myself successful.
That's awesome. So like I started writing already just because I'm starting to hear certain things. Like, remember in this podcast, everybody, I'm always looking for what is the thing, the belief that person had to go through. And so far has everything around elevation and being the best person that you are starting to be, because that's what changes her to do things. But what I also started to hear was, remember everyone, how you do every one thing is how you do everything. Right. Mm-hmm. She was a good worker bee at there. Then she was as the identity shift started to happen, she became a mom, and she put on the mom hat. Then that took her off. But then she got taken off because now corporate didn't like that. Mm-hmm. So she moved into queen bee, and queen bee had to make her own way, still using that new format. But you also said you're starting to become more and more consistent in that way. Mm-hmm. What did you have to be consistent in once you lost the corporate job to create this new shift from mom, right? Mom and go-getter to, like, I call my avatar, the people that I speak to, is our parent professionals. They are parents, they love their kids, they do everything for their kids, but they also love their jobs and they love what they're doing. What did you have to get consistent in? Because you said that word and it hit hard, to make sure that stayed true.
Your vision. You have to get consistent in your vision. And so let me define vision, because that just, people have different interpretations. Vision is exactly the impact that you want to leave in the world. Vision is exactly the impact you want to leave in the world, which is going to likely be tied to how are you going to help to other human beings. But hey, you could want to save like all the rainforests in Costa Rica. Like, that could be your thing. It could not be a person thing. It could be a planet thing. But how do you want to positively impact the world? Now, your business is merely a vehicle for you to be able to completely and thoroughly be able to get through to your vision. The business is just a vehicle. So you have to get tuned in to, what were you put on? This is a big thing of mine. What were you put on this planet to do? What were you put on this planet to do? Now, once we establish that vision, that's your North Star. Everything else is just a compass or a guide or a map or a course correction on your way to that North Star. But so often, let's talk about being a parent. As a child, you used to dream all the time, but then you become an adult and everything just becomes about paying the bills and the this and the that and the day-to-day and the other things. And you forget to dream because your dreams got squandered a long time ago. I believe in dreaming, and you have to dream in high definition, and you have to have a lot of clarity around this vision for you to be able to get there. But your vision will be your North Star, and it will guide you. That's what you must stay consistent in.
100%. So you spoke about a lot of different things. The vision is number one, and like my Freedom Mastery experience is all geared to, like, my vision is helping the parent professional grow as a person so they can actually teach their kids, not by speaking to them, because kids don't learn by speaking, but more so by the actions that they do. And absolutely, the fact that you have a vision for your company, everything, I'm a curious question is, and this is something I'm actually thinking about a lot now, is what is my vision for my family? Instead of being healthy and being strong-willed, like when you were talking about something not esoteric, but so for the bigger picture, I was thinking, what is the viewpoint, the vision for my family that's going to impact the world? Yes, I'm making some monsters of kids, right? They know what's going on. They're polite. They're very, very straightforward in that way. They know how to deal with themselves.
Mhm.
One's 5, so
Mm.
she clinches because she's 5. But what is your vision for your family? Because you have similar age kids as well. How old are your kids?
Yeah. My kids are 5 and 7.
I have
My
a 5-year-old, a
7-year-old.
9-year-old, and a 15. So we're in the same
Wow.
boat. Do you have a
Yep.
vision for your family like that?
Yes, of course. The vision for the family is not the typical legacy BS. All right. I'm not doing that. I'm not actually into that. I don't really care about generational wealth. I didn't get brought up with wealth. My parents are Indian from India, and they came here in America in the 80s with $8 and they made a life for ourselves. So I'm not into the
What's
generational
up?
wealth.
Hard work.
Yeah. So I'm not, I actually, I'll leave them some bits and pieces, but I'm not here to leave them wads of cash so that they can be comfortable. I think that too much comfort will, I think it spoils the soul, and I think it would rob them of their journey of life. So my vision for my family is me and my husband, you know, my husband, we're dual entrepreneurs and we are passionate about what we do. Like I'm 40, my husband's 41. We still have the vigor and passion that you wouldn't find in people. And when
I
I
know
think
that.
about, I know you know that. So when I think about my family, I want my kids to have that passion, the energy, the desire. Like I want them to squeeze the life out of life. Like if life was a mango or an orange, a big old orange, I want them to squeeze all of it out of it. So when I look at them, I want them to be able to go through hard things so they can enjoy what they got through on the other side. So I don't know. I guess that paints a picture. I don't want to be too prescriptive of what the vision is because I got brought up with I was meant to be left brained. I had to do computer science and I had all these
Uh,
things put into
Cultural.
place. Yeah. And I
Culture.
made my own life for myself. And you could say, I want my kids to be happy or this or that. I want my kids to be fulfilled because they earned it. And that's a little bit different. I think happiness is superfluous and like here or there and it comes and goes. I want them to be deeply fulfilled because they earned it. So I hope that paints a picture. But
It does. It does paint a bigger picture. It's not. It wasn't very specific. Like I want you to be altruistic. That's the word I was looking for, and save the world. It's like no, I want you to be a force in this world and be able to do what you want by hard work and changing. If you want something, go get it. And that's
yeah,
very similar to how I'm doing that. And what I was going to ask is, what are the certain things that you are expressing to them and showing them that through your career, through your life? But you brought up happiness, and a lot of people say, I just want my kids to be happy, and that's a big mistake for kids as a vision, mainly
yeah,
because happiness is something that you is chased down. So I'm
yeah,
only happy when I get my water. So that means unless I'm getting this,
yeah.
I'm happy. You have to look for a state of joy, bliss,
Mm-hmm.
and, and that is going to be a state rather than an after effect. And that is
Right.
something that a lot of people say a lot. And I'm trying to correct that even in myself. I just want you to be happy. No, I want you to be a beast. I want you to be able to do whatever you need to do, which means you have to have the ability to do some hard work, which
Yeah.
and go through some turmoil. So from what I understand, your business is 3 years old. That means you went through the COVID pivot. Everybody has a
Mhm.
story, COVID pivot. What is yours?
Oh man. So I did commercial interior design prior to that, and I had been in business about a year. And so the thing for us though was like, let's say, COVID obviously hit in March of 2020. So this was the month before. Our commercial interior design business had already slowed down. So I was already like concerned. I was worried where I was going to get the business in. How do I get referrals? How do I get out in the market in Houston? And then COVID hits. So in an already slow business, boom, now we have this immense pandemic thing and nobody knows what's going to happen. All I know though is that commercial real estate is going to be absolutely decimated, and people are not going to want to elect for a luxury service like interior design at that moment in time. So I decided to join an online mastermind program, coaching program. I was either going to do that or I was going to build a fancy website. I had a fork in the road and I picked this mastermind program. Had no idea what online marketing even was in March of 2020. I thought it was crazy.
Blind. You went
Yeah.
in blind.
Oh, absolutely. But I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, used to post on Facebook like my kid's picture once a week. And I didn't even like social media. Like I didn't know anything about it. I didn't like it. I posted once a week, didn't understand it and joined this thing. And I was going to bring interior design online. I was going to help people with their COVID home offices. I thought that was going to work. Everyone thought it was a great idea. Guess what? No one wanted to pay for it. So this is a lesson for the audience. Just because your fake market tells you they love it doesn't mean anyone's going to pay for it. So like, just take that, write that shit down. People will tell you
That's
all
a writer
day.
downer.
That's a writer downer. You heard it here first. Just because your friends and family think it's a cool idea doesn't, the only people you listen to are the people who are willing to swipe. And if no one is willing to swipe for your offer, it is not an offer. It's not a good offer and it's not a real offer. So that never happened. But I kept scrolling on Facebook and I kept seeing people posting their like horrible looking logos and being like, I'm a coach. I'm a fit pro. I'm going to help you with your finances. And it was like these horrible brands. And I realized like after 13 years of doing interior design for a lot of even Fortune 500 companies in that portfolio, not all of them, some were startups, some were Fortune 500 companies. I was like, man, this online world does not understand branding at all. Like they've got these cheap logos. So I decided I would just do a little bit of a side hustle while I figured out how to get interior design online. And then someone challenged me to be like, why don't you just focus on branding for like 3 months? And commercial real estate's devastated, decimated. Why don't you just do this? And I remember it angering me at that point in time. And I remember
now you're hooked.
I was like white knuckled pissed. And she was like, coach. And she was like, I just want to explore this feeling with you. Like, you feel like you're white knuckling it. I literally looked at my hand. I'm like, I am white knuckling it. Because I felt like she was questioning my passion, questioning my dream. But after she said it, and I was so mad, and I sat back and reflected, I started to be honest with myself that maybe the dream wasn't the dream anymore. Like it served me for a season, but maybe I'm allowed to put the dream down because I have squeezed the orange dry. And maybe I don't love interior design, commercial interior design, doing office spaces and stuff like that as much as I used to. So I decided 3 months, I could just do it. And I found a new passion. I fell in love with something completely different. So I started branding people online, and then people started calling me their business coach. And I fell into this whole new world of brand strategy and business strategy, and just happened to be super, super good at it. And it sticks to this day. It is my current passion. And I was able to put down and put away my other dream of interior design without regretting it. I have no regrets over it. It was wonderful, but it was time to have a new season, a new dream.
Would you say that's your new heart? Like you followed your heart? Because that's what I tell people. It's not about what you think is going to make you money or say anything. I was like, you have to follow your heart. Like I talk to people about my $40,000 mistake when I tried to make a holistic clinic based off the model of the holistic clinic of multiple therapists and people coming in all the time. But I just loved helping people. I loved understanding them and getting them. But me teaching other people and doing all the admin work, yada, 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 wasn't my heart. And I completely failed. Because of what my heart wasn't there. But now me doing what I'm doing now, completely different. Because you followed your heart. So is that something that you believe?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's definitely follow your heart. And I would say, I wonder if you think this too. And it's okay if we don't, right? Like it's okay to have different points of view. I feel like I was sort of following my spirit, and I wasn't very in touch with my spirit at that point in time. I was only in touch with my brain. Like my brain, my mind, it's on like Donkey Kong, but I wasn't really in touch with that next level, that inner drive of like, what makes Bijal Patel Bijal Patel? Who's Bijal Patel meant to be? What would happen if she came out and stopped pulling punches and came out beast mode?
Well, that's a question I would love to ask for everybody is, did you ever think what would happen if you stopped pulling your punches? Because what you just described was almost everything in a nutshell. You were grown up by parents that worked hard. they taught you how to work hard, and they taught you to be left brain, and that was the cultural aspect. You got to be left brain. You're gonna do so many different things here, but it didn't serve you when times get rough until you sat down and started asking the hard questions, followed your passion, then you start to elevate who you are, which gave you this new love, this new thing that blossomed into this beautiful, successful business. Like you just like that is your what I was writing all this down is that's your timeline so far. Those are the beliefs that you had to transcend, one from working really, really hard, and it needs to be right all the time to being able to do what's right for you. And now it's about elevation and learning how to be elevated, which then you brought in the secret sauce, which I don't talk about, is yes, I do believe in a universal principle of you understanding who you are. So in my practice, I get people to identify and dissolve their belief systems, which then we get to optimize their mind and body, which then we create a routine and that's possibly the best for them because it's based off of them. Yeah. And it's all getting to see who they are in that way.
I love that.
Like, so you're doing this in this beautiful manner of understanding that, and you're breaking through all these beliefs. But I have this lovely question that's knocking in the back of my head because everybody says all this great stuff about you have to get this new mindset, and just work it. But they're not realizing that in order for you to go through that, you have to learn a new skill. That means you have to do something that's outside the block. For you, it was going to the mastermind, barely any money because everything's decimated. And flying blind, right? Yeah. How was it? How did you deal with the scariness of I got 2 kids, things are hitting the fan, and I have to be consistent? Because that's one of the things I'm seeing a lot is you have to be consistent. What were you consistent in to make it through that fear? Because everybody's going to go through the fear as they're leveling up, as they're elevating themselves.
I'm more consistent now as a person like 3.5 years later. But when this happened 2.5 years ago, I had a harder time with consistency because I love variety. I still love variety. I think variety is the spice of life. Like if I'm in the mood to, I'll do it. You got to be careful. When you're a creative person, you're a passionate person, you can't just let all your energy dictate where you want to be and who you are. I am way more of a consistent machine right now, but that's not where I started. So if we were to go back to that point of impetus, the thing I was consistent on is to say the consistency that came through me was I'm going to continue to ask the hard questions. I'm going to continue to show up and ask the hard questions. I'm going to put myself out there vulnerably. I'm going to get the feedback. I'm going to learn the different things. But if there was any and only one thing I was consistent in, it is I am a relentless learner. So much so that you and I had an interesting interaction the first time we met, and I still learned something through it. But I am a no bars held kind of person as it relates to that, but I am a relentless learner, and the ability to come into a room where I don't know anybody and ask a question or a dumb question or ask multiple questions, that is my literal superpower. And that is how I've accelerated and gotten so fast to where I am today. So that's it. So relentless learning.
So relentless learning about you or about the thing that you're going into?
Everything. Curious.
So what was the hardest question that you like to ask questions? I know me and you were jamming away at that one point, right? Mm-hmm. What was the hardest question that you answered that gave you a sucker punch, a gut punch?
That I've asked before?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think I'm insecure? To my mentor. It was a private conversation.
And you got the answer.
He messaged me one day. And he's like, well, your problem is that you're insecure. Well, damn. I'm constantly told how confident I am. And I just had someone rip apart the band, like just,
rip it off.
Waxed you, like how, like that movie with the Kelly Clarkson guy, Steve Carell gets, that's literally how I felt, so exposed. He's like, well, your problem is just that you're insecure. What? Where'd you come up with that? He's like, well, it's true and it's okay, but like you need to work on that. And I was like, that was a hard.
Well, what did you do to work on it?
Oh God, dude, I didn't get a straight answer either. It like kept me on read too for a couple of days. And I was like, I'm going to kill this guy. I'm literally so angry. I'm going to kill him. But he was right. He was right.
What was your insecurity? Now this is I
Everything.
guarantee you I haven't.
Everything. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not skinny enough. My teeth aren't white enough. I don't look like those chicks on Instagram. I should have made more money by now. Why haven't I made more money by now? I don't think I was never formally trained in branding. How am I even doing this? Should I get this much success? I think I should be a better mom. How come I don't know what's going on with trick or treat this year? Shit. Like all the stuff. So like, yeah, and I can say that now because I'm not insecure. And it doesn't mean the thing about insecurity is everyone has it. So you're BSing me if you pretend you don't. I know exactly how to pull that out. But when you're amazing at what you do, you're going to build up insecurity because you're going to places that nobody has ever gone before. The thing is, though, do you know what you're insecure about and do you know how to handle that? Or do you leave it dormant in a corner and pretend that elephant doesn't exist? I now know exactly insecurity sits in that corner. Fear sits in that corner. Self-doubt sits in that corner. I know where all my demons sit, so I can just wave to them and be like, come over. What are you whispering about over there?
You're making it not a taboo in that way.
No.
And
no.
Those
monsters are friends. You got to make your monsters friends. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's a write it down or due to the fact that is absolutely true. Make your monsters your friends. So there's 5 pillars inside of my Freedom Mastery experience that I clear things out from. So when a person learns as a child, they learn 5 things from their archetypal father and mother. And it's not about nurture versus nature. Your mother teaches you specific things as well as your father, but they all run through 5 different pillars. 1, self-esteem, knowing who you are. And that's not just I'm strong, I'm blah, blah, blah. There's way more, like it's your definition of who you are inside yourself and being able to say, this is for me. There's understanding what you need versus what you want. There's understanding your limits and creating boundaries so you can be safe to push those limits. Being able to hold yourself accountable because you know your boundaries and your limits, and being responsible and creating a mature world for yourself. What you just showed me on this whole podcast in this 35 minutes, I have a little bit more time with you, right? Just to clear this up. Is getting to a place where you understand. I actually fixed one of my foundational belief systems. Is I started to understand my self-esteem. By you understanding all your demons, you actually created your actual identity and got comfortable with her. You got comfortable in your skin, where most people still put on more and more masks to try to figure out what's happening and saying, oh, that was the wrong mask. And they tried a different one and that didn't work. So that's why people say, oh, I'm not pretty enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm supposed to weigh this much. I'm supposed to make this amount of money. Those are different masks, but you're just happy with where you are. That is the belief structure that you changed. And that's what made you excel exponentially, not even just in the success of your business, but you as a mom, right? Because you understood in this, I'm sure you showed it to your kids that you tried hard. You did all the different things, because I was starting to scratch on the surface, like you've been inbred, like it's inside you to work really, really hard. And then you learn to eliminate just the working hard into leading in with asking these hard questions. So once you ask the hard questions, then you start to transcend into just leading with your passion. And every time you talk with someone, I remember talking with you, like we all up in each other's faces, but we Black people, that's what we do. We just be in each other's faces, right? That's used to us, but that's just you have this fire, this passion about you, which then brings you into this new level of who you are. Is you elevate everything. And if you're not elevating something, it's going to irk you. Just because you understand who you are. And that's the belief system that you cleared up, which is your self-esteem, which then transcended all these different things. How does that sound as a structure of what you did to create the successful Bejewel?
Yeah, I think it's pretty close. Yeah. I think self-esteem, I think there's a lot of parts to it, but I think you're there. I think it's just like in all things in life, like the human identity is so complex. I think self-esteem is a part of it, but is it self-esteem? Is it self-belief? Is it self-worth? Is it your future identity? Like having all of those things put together, just getting really, really clear on who is your identity. You know what I mean? Because I've seen people who have high self-esteem who are still failures in their own mind. They're still they have a self-esteem, but they don't have the fulfillment, they don't have the joy, they don't have the peace. And so I think at sometimes as times we end up, you can have very high self-esteem and have a really high net worth, but you have no self-worth. You have
That's
no
not self-esteem, mama.
Yeah.
That's not self-esteem. That's the concept of peacocking. And that's a wall versus a boundary. The difference between a boundary and a wall, right? They created these walls of perception of this is what makes me good. But then they lose it. If they lose all their money, they lose everything, then they're screwed. It's almost like the proverbial, I have a Ferrari now, yes. And they take it off the lot and they crush it.
Yeah.
And then they think they're horrible because of that. It's because they put everything into that one material object. And that's just with everything. Their perfect mask. So you're right. Self-esteem has a lot of
dimensions. There's a lot of dimensions to it.
But once you have it and you start to understand, you work with it, then you mold it more and more. But most people don't even are aware of the superficial self-esteem, just like the concept of ego. They understand the superficial concept of ego.
Right.
Realizing it's you. You can't.
Yeah. And like ego's not a bad thing. Like you need your ego. Your ego is who you are. Like it's not bad. Like let's stop pretending it's a bad thing. Like you need to know who you are. Yeah.
That's the like we're getting into like some we can go hours on this on all of it, but you're absolutely right on the aspect. There's so much to it. There's so much more to this, but getting down and actually being able to hold who you are and start looking at your self-esteem is important. And your identities are the ones that you create inside your mind. The more definition you give to it, the more powerful it becomes. So I do get you. Like there was all sorts of other questions that I want to ask, but I want to leave it to our time.
Yeah.
If somebody wanted to talk with Queen Bee, no longer is she the worker bee, the Queen Bee, on the importance of branding, how would they find you?
You can find me on our website, www.welaunch.design. We're on Instagram at Bijal, Bijal.launch. Also on Facebook, same handle at Bijal.launch. We are very active on Facebook. We have a Facebook group, if anyone want to join that. But the importance of branding is that you were put on this planet. Like, let's circle it all the way back to vision and identity. You were put on this planet to do a task. Like that is literally, in my opinion, the fulfillment of your life's purpose is for you to grow through and towards the one thing you were put on this planet to do. Now that the way that you do that doesn't really matter. People get so caught up in the like, I was this and then I was that. Don't get all lost in the how. It's the why. Why were you put on this planet? And it's allowed to change some. It's allowed to change. But the true path that you were put on this, you know that, you feel it, it comes to you, it glimmers. It's the 3 a.m. wake ups of the crazy idea that you have. The problem is the people around you who surround you most of the time are used to pummeling any good idea. They're used to taking it down. They're used to poo-pooing on the idea or wet blanketing it. The process of branding is to package what your secret sauce is and to take it out and put it out into the world. So that's the reason it's so transformative. We go really deep with people because we're pulling out your unique thing, and you can't do that. You cannot read the label from inside the bottle. So that's where we come in, put on our gloves, pull all the stuff out, understand your story, see what energizes you, what drains you, help facilitate co-creating your vision. If you've got a vision, we're going to make it crystal clear where you can't help but see it. We're going to find things there. And then we're going to assign a mission to like, what's the point of your business? Great. Let's look at your offers. Let's dial those in. Who's your avatar? Who could they be? This has been them, but who could they be? Why aren't we dreaming harder? How do we not attract that avatar? How do we create that avatar? And for 99% of people, how do we raise your prices so that you're more presenting the actual value you provide? Because now we've dialed in the offer. So we do all of that stuff and we go through it with them, and then we establish vision statements, mission statements, core values that we call.
Oh, now you're talking about
values.
culture. Now you're bringing in your corporate world. Look at you.
Exactly. That's it. I mean, that's how I kind of know how to do this stuff. It's almost like tribal knowledge. Like I was never formally trained in any of it, and we're literally better at it than 99% of the branding agencies out there. And I say that confidently because we've got the social proof to prove it. We have people go through these amazing transformation, and they're like, how did that happen? And I know in the online world, the word transformation is like about as cheesy as it gets, but that's really what happens.
It's not, it is, isn't it?
If you think about dialing in someone's vision and then you're helping them find their identity and then giving them a staircase to get there, the third piece of our process is growth. How would growth not happen? Like, let's look at it in the other direction. People always promise what can happen. If you worked on your vision and your identity and you were the best person you could be, and you found that person, you found the vision you're working towards, when you take those two things together, how could you not grow? It's like not even possible. Not even possible. So that's
awesome.
what we do.
That's awesome. Like really, really awesome. And I wanted to, like, there's so many things that I want to ask, but I'm gonna honor our time together, B.
Thanks.
Everyone, remember, if you're going through what you're going through, even as a parent professional, you have to remember we're doing something for the bigger vision. The bigger vision is for your family, not just for them to be safe, but who they're going to be. That's the thing. And you have to work on yourself, which means you have to make your monsters your friends. You have to come in and understand who you are, because that gets you that much closer to your true actual self-esteem and who you are. And once you understand who you are, then you align with your vision. How can growth not happen?
Perfectly.
So, everyone, thank you very much for listening. I will see you on the next one.